Hello everyone and welcome. In this video, you will learn how to set up an Express server using Node.js. It's gonna be simple, beginner-friendly, and quick. So, by the end of the video, you will learn how to set up the server, define routes, implement dynamic routes, serve static files, and use Nodemon. Before we begin, the first thing you need to do is to make sure you have Node.js installed. To check, open your terminal and type node-v. If you see a version number, you're good to go. If not, go to nodejs.org, download the latest version and install it. Once you are ready, let's dive in. So as you can see, I have this folder called Express Server, and inside I'm gonna write the following command: npm init-y and press enter. This command creates a package.json file with default settings. The -y flag automatically answers yes to all prompts, making the process quicker. Okay, if we open it, we can see the content of the file. Okay, now let's install Express. To do that, we need to type npm I express. This command will add Express to our project's dependencies. So here it is. And as you can see, now we also have node models. Next, let's create a new file called index.js in our project directory. And inside, let's write the following. We need to say const express require express. So here we require the express module. Now let's say const app is equal to express. Here we create an instance of an Express application. And now let's define our port, and I will set it to 5000. Okay, so now let's define a route. We start by using app, and then we need to say .get, and let's define our root URL. So what does all this mean? This route will handle GET requests to the root URL. When a user visits the root URL, this route will be triggered. So first, we specify the path for the route, which is the root URL, okay? Next, we define a callback function that will be executed whenever a GET request is made to the root URL. This function takes two parameters, the request object and the response object. Inside the callback function, let's use res.send method to send a response to a client, and let's say hello world. Okay, now to actually see this message, we need to make our server listen on our port. To do that, we need to say app.listen and pass our port, and then let's do the following. We will say console.log server started on our port. Okay, so let's save it. And now, to actually start our server, we need to say node index. We can say index.js or without it. So we say node and then the name of our file where we have defined all of this. Okay, so let's press enter. And we see this message, server started on 5000. And now, if I open my localhost 5000 at the root URL, I should see this message. So let's do it. So as you can see, here we have our message. And we can also define other routes. So let's just copy this and say, if a user goes to the about page, we can say about page. Let's save it and try it. But we will not see the changes we made because we need to restart our server. To do that, we need to say Ctrl+C, so we stopped our server, and then we need to say node index again to restart our server. So let's press enter and refresh the page. And as you can see, now we have about page. So as you can see, constantly restarting our server can be inconvenient, and to prevent that, we can use Nodemon. So Nodemon is a tool that helps develop Node.js-based applications by automatically restarting the Node application when file changes in the directory are detected. So let's install, but first let's stop our server with Ctrl+C, okay? And now let's install Nodemon as a development dependency. To do that, we need to say npm i-d Nodemon. And let's press enter. So if we open our package.json, you can see that it is inside dev dependencies. And now we need to make some changes in order for this to work. In our scripts, we need to say start Nodemon index.js. And let's save it. Okay, now we can just say npm start. And as you can see, our Nodemon started. So now, to see that everything is working properly, we can just make a copy of this and let's say contacts. Here, let's say contacts page. Let's save it. And now if I go to contacts, I should immediately see this message without the necessity to restart our server because Nodemon already handles that. So let's check it. As you can see, we have contacts page. So that's why Nodemon can be useful. So now let's try to make a dynamic route. Dynamic routing allows you to handle URLs with variable parts. This is useful when you want to create routes that can handle different parameters such as user IDs or post titles. So let's see how to define a dynamic route in Express. So let's say app.get users / and ID. So in this route path, ID is a dynamic parameter and the colon indicates that ID is a variable part of the URL. Okay, so now we need to say request response and let's say res.send. Let's say hello user, and to get access to this ID, we can say we actually need to wrap it in backsticks and say the following rec.params.id. So let's save it. Now I need to say users / and let's say whatever we want. So for example, I want to say 1, 2, 3. And now if I press enter, we should see hello user 1, 2, 3. So let's do it. As you can see, here it is. So this is how dynamic routing works in Express. And you can get access to this ID by saying request.params.id. And instead of sending just this plain text on contacts page or about page, we can actually send HTML files. Okay, so let's see how it works. To do that, let's create a new folder called public, and inside let's create index.html. So it will be for our root path. Okay, so let's write an exclamation mark and press enter, and let's say homepage. So let's say homepage. Okay, and let's make some text. Let's say lorem 10. Okay, so let's save it. Now let's also create about.html. So let's do the same. Let's say lorem 30 in this case. And we need one more for our contacts. Okay, let's say contacts HTML. Okay, so to actually show our HTML files, first we need to say const path require path. So now we need to say the following. We need to say app.use express.static So what does all this mean? App.use, this method is used to mount middleware functions at the specified path. In this case, it's used to serve static files from the public directory. Express.static. It's a built-in middleware function in Express.js that serves static files such as HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and images. It takes the root directory from which to serve static assets as an argument. Path.join. The path.join method is a part of Node.js path model. It is used to join multiple path segments into a single path. This method ensures that the path is constructed correctly regardless of the operating system. Dir name. Dir name is a special variable in Node.js that contains the directory name of the current module, public. This is the name of the directory where our static files are stored. In this case, it's the public folder. Here it is, and it contains these HTML files. So in a nutshell, this serves static files from the public directory. This means that any files in the public folder can be accessed directly via their URLs. Okay? So now I can copy this and paste it here and say index.html here. And then we need to say res send file. Okay? So now I need to save this, and we need to make sure that we are in the right place. So now we should see the content of index.html. So here it is. So now we can render these HTML files right here. That's great. So res.sendFile is used to send a file as the response to an HTTP request. In this case, it's a GET request. It takes the path to the file as an argument and sends the file's content to the client. This part has already been covered, and let's talk about the next thing, not to waste time. And then index.html. It's the name of the file we want to send as a response. In this case, it's index.html. So now let's do the same for other routes. We need to copy this, paste it here, and it will be about.html. And it will be contacts.html. So let's save it. Now let's go to about. And here it is, our about page. And let's go to contacts. And here is our contacts page. We can also add some styling using CSS. So let's do it. So inside public folder, let's create styles.css file. And let's add some styles. Let's see, for the body, font family will be Arial. Let's change our background color. Let's make this to be this color. Okay, so let's save it. And now we need to connect it inside our index.html file. So let's say link styles.css. So let's save it and let's go to the right path. And as you can see, we successfully applied our styles. The main purpose of this video was to show you how you can create a basic server. So that's it, guys. In this tutorial, we covered everything you need to get started with Express.js and Node.js. We covered such things as setting up the server. With Express, we created a basic server. Then defining routes. We added routes to handle HTTP requests. Dynamic routing. We explored handling URLs with variable parts for flexibility. Serving static files. We served HTML and CSS files from a public directory. Using Nodemon, we automated server restarts during development for efficiency. So if you find this video at least a little helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate that. Thank you.